Hey y'all, I don't know who's gonna watch this. Knowing my luck, nobody. LOL. But it's been over a year since my accident. A year and a week, in a few days, I guess you could say. And I am ready to tell my story. I feel like people should learn what happened to me, if you care, anyways. I was walking to the store, March 6th of 2022. Like 1:30 in the afternoon, I think. Maybe 1:30. I'm just walking to the store out there in Castle Point. All of a sudden, I hear an engine coming, and it's coming fast and loud. So, as I try to get off the side of the road, because we don't have any sidewalks out there in our neighborhoods, the dude swerved and hit me. I had tumbled back down the hill, maybe for like a minute or two, like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. I tumbled and then I hit a car. And me thinking, okay, I think I went unconscious for a minute. I'm not sure, because the next thing I remember was I was banging on a car trying to get the car alarm to start, so that somebody would come out and help me. Because as I'm thinking, I'm screaming, I'm just whispering, "Help me! Help me, please!" That's all I can hear coming out of my mouth, so I know nobody can hear that. But by the grace of God, within a few minutes, my boyfriend was coming down the road. He was just getting off work. An officer was following behind him because he was about to pull him over because he thought he didn't have a license plate or a temp tag. But people like to steal those, so we kept it in the car. And he stopped. He thought I was a random person. He stopped to help me, and when he saw it was me, he wasn't black anymore. Let me just put it to you that way. He was so pale, you would have thought he was mixed. He didn't know what to say, what to do, how to react or anything. The officer came and he kept telling me to get up. I kept telling him I couldn't. He asked me what happened. I said, I don't know. Like, I got hit by a car and now I'm here. Now I'm like, I don't know what happened. Like, I really don't. I remember bits and pieces, but I remember they were asking me, I was coughing up blood, and they're asking me questions, and Marvin, not understanding how serious my condition is yelling at me to answer, and I can't. I told him I can't breathe. I'm too tired. It's too much energy, and that's when the officer was like, just sit there, lay there, just calm down. That we got the ambulance on the way. He started poking me with his pen, and he kept asking me, "Do you feel this? Do you feel this?" Until I told him I couldn't feel it no more. And that's when he called and let the ambulance people know, like, it's a life and death emergency, and that she needs to be taken to Barnes now. Within like 7 minutes, they came. They rolled me over. Oh my God, just moving was so fucking painful. I don't think, man, I would never wish none of this on my worst enemy. I wouldn't even wish this on the devil. Like, for real, like, the pain I felt made child labor seem like a cut on a hand. Like, it really did. Like, I was dying. I was bleeding internally. My spine was sticking out of my back. I don't know how I survived. The doctor so let me not jump to forward. So I get the ambulance people come. They come sit down next to me, take my blood pressure. My blood pressure is like 78 over like 26. Like, I'm dying. I'm slowly dying, and they can tell. Um, they immediately put an IV in my hand. Immediately called the hospital, let them know the situation, and um, they gave me some sedatives to try to knock me out a little bit, I guess. They rolled me on this hard plastic thing, and it hurt so bad. I was screaming, I was crying, forget screaming, I was screeching. It was at least 50 people watching, asking what happened. Is she gonna be okay? Is she gonna survive? Is she gonna be alive? Um, and could nobody tell them anything? They just said, stand back. It's an emergency. Stand back. That's it. That's all I heard people saying. And then I'm in the ambulance. They're asking me questions. I'm dozing in and out. Well, I'm fading, I guess is what you call it, in and out. And it's to the point where they're trying to keep a steady conversation with me to keep me awake, to keep me alive. Because if I was to fall asleep or anything, I probably would have died. But as I was screaming, they called the hospital, let them know what was happening, and they told them to put me to sleep. So they gave me something. I don't know if it was pain meds or what, but it sedated me. I woke up, I don't know how many minutes later, but I was in the emergency room. And if you've ever watched those movies where somebody was just in a bad accident and they're being wheeled down the hallway, and as they're looking up, it's blurry, and you got like 15 doctors just rushing down the hall with you. That's how it felt. That's how it looked. Like, the lights were so bright you couldn't see the faces. The faces were fuzzy, and all I could feel was immense pain. So once again, as I woke up, I was screaming, and I guess I was being rushed into emergency surgery. The anesthesiologist that was behind me ended up putting me to sleep while I was being rushed there because I was screaming, and my blood pressure was skyrocketing, and it was causing my heart to work harder, and it was causing my body to go into more stress. So they put me to sleep. About 6 hours into my surgery, I woke up once again screaming and crying because it hurt so bad. I mean, imagine getting cut open and people all up in your body with surgical tools and everything like that. I mean, it hurts. Surgery hurts. Let me just put it to you that way. But I remember begging them. I thought they were demons trying to steal my soul. And I remember praying to God to take my soul and to cleanse it and to please forever cherish me and to forgive me for everything I ever did, because I didn't want to go to hell. I didn't want to go to hell. I saw too much light during my accident. But in my surgery, I could have sworn that the doctors were the demons. Like, they had to strap me down because I started attacking them. And I could have sworn the light I was looking at was God, and that's who I was trying to get to. But I couldn't. And I felt like these people that are holding me down were demons just keeping me from getting to God. And it was scary. And that happened, I think that was like a 30-second ordeal. And then I remember waking up in ICU. I had 2 chest tubes and a spinal drainage. I had a pain pump with Dilaudid in it. Man, the pain I felt was so horrible. Horrible. I was in, and so that's the story of how I got paralyzed. Now I'm gonna go off of, let y'all know about the hospital stay and the journey I had. So for me, the hospital was the hardest part. Yeah, I did do physical therapy while I was in the hospital. I got very good at it. After about 4 days in the ICU, they took my chest tubes out and my spinal drainage, and I was able to go onto a regular floor. But that's not where everything ends. I went through the ringer, like, very much. So I ended up about 4 days after I'm in a regular room, not ICU or anything like that. About 4 days after that, I I am so I'm laying there watching TV. I'm on the phone with my boyfriend, well, like FaceTime, and I start coughing, and I was coughing up mucus, which is normal. Then I started getting really short of breath, which isn't normal for me. And then my chest started hurting so bad. I pressed the call light. Nobody came. I waited for like 10 minutes, and it's gradually getting worse. My boyfriend got off the phone with me by this time to call and tell them, like, hey, you need to go check her out. So, but me, I personally, you're going to think I'm crazy, but I started throwing shit, screaming, crying. Well, I couldn't even scream. I started crying. I was throwing whatever I had next to me. I was throwing it. And everybody was like, why are you acting a fool? Why are you doing this? I'm like, I called y'all 15 minutes ago. I can't breathe. Nobody asked me what was going on. Nobody came in to check on me or anything. And the nurse sat there and straight told me, if you can breathe, if you can talk, you can breathe. No. No. Trust me. No. That's, if anybody ever tells you that, no. It's a lie. You cannot just not talk if you can't breathe. No. That, because I was doing it. So when she was refusing to take my symptoms serious, I asked for her boss. And her boss came and asked me what was going on. And I told her, I said, I can't breathe. And your nurse over here is telling me that if I can talk, I can breathe. And she told her, she's like, you can't tell her that. Like, you don't know if something is really going on. You got to always check it out, because if something was to happen, it's a big ass lawsuit. So the charge nurse takes her stethoscope, she puts it on my chest, tells me to take a deep breath in and breathe out. I do that immediately. She says, get an x-ray stat right now. I knew something was wrong. I said, oh great, here we go again. So they come up within the next 5 minutes. They got respiratory in there, sucking stuff out of my lungs through my nose. I have a breathing tube going down my nose, and a suction cup going down my nose, and a breathing tube going down my throat, or whichever. I forgot which way it was, because I couldn't breathe anymore, and they were suctioning everything up. So when x-ray finally got up there, about 10 minutes later, they took an x-ray, and little do y'all know, don't ever let them tell you that it take hours to see them x-rays, especially them portable ones. A doctor can look at that soon it's done. That's what they did with the portable x-ray machine. They looked at it while they were in my room. They had the doctor in there and everything, and the doctor straight looked at the x-ray on the screen of the x-ray machine. And immediately I was told, or everybody was told, we got to get her to ICU. She needs a chest tube. So there's just the beginning. So I'm getting a chest tube. I get rushed down there. I was having a visitor, but I was on my way to the ICU, so they could not come. They had to go home and wait till I was out of surgery or whatever procedure or whatever they wanted to do. I had to be out of it. So, but what happens sucks. So I'm in the ICU. I'm in this room. I'm laying on this hard table. It's not a bed anymore. It's like an operation table. And I'm laying out. I got my arms spread open like it's a cross. So that they're trying to get the tube inside of my chest. Just my luck. This one night is the night that they're training a student at Barnes Hospital. You know, they're the learning hospital. I understand that. But I begged the doctor, like, can you please just do it? Like, I know it'll go be like 2 minutes if you do it. Like, I don't think I could take the pain. I don't think I could do it. She's like, well, we are a learning hospital, and we do like to teach our students well and everything. So I will have to let him do it tonight. And I told him, I said, why can't you? Like, he's never done it. He's never done it. She's like, I understand that, but he has to start somewhere. I'm like, but why does it have to be me that he has to start on? So I'm steady requesting her to do it, but she's refusing. But she's willing to tell him how to do it, which pisses me off because it's like, this motherfucker is... I'm in so much pain right now. Like, I just said, fuck it. Let's just get this shit over with because I can't breathe. I feel like I'm finna die. So they get me on this operation table, right? I was so mad when I'm thinking I'm getting put to sleep. After all, isn't this a chest tube? Like, you going into my lung tube? But no. You get lidocaine. What the fuck is lidocaine? That's something you get to get your tooth pulled out. Lidocaine doesn't go down into the deep tissue and deep muscles. Like, maybe unless you get it like IV form. Now, if it's just a shot, oh no, it doesn't work that way. So the area was a little numb. But she's directing the student where and how to do what he's doing, which is taking very long. I mean, very long. They're talking about, oh, why you got to do it right here and right there and how you got to do it upwards and then up and down and all that stuff. And as I'm laying there dealing with this, I'm being cut into. I'm screaming from the pain. I am being held down by other nurses and stuff because the pain is making me shake. And all I hear is this doctor steady correcting the student. Like, he's doing it wrong. Why not take over and have him do somebody else's? I asked that. Once again, no. So as he's trying to push it through and steady fucking up, I'm sitting here, my eyes are rolling in the back of my head. My face is so pale. It's just blank. I'm on 90% oxygen. I went from a purple tube to an orange tube. Whichever, like, I have the nurse smacking me in my face, telling me, stay awake, Candace, stay awake. It's almost done. And finally, after like 30 minutes of sitting there in agonizing pain, I hear and feel the pop. It's like it literally sounds like that and feels like that. And then all of a sudden, like 2 liters of fluid it sounded like farts coming out. Like I was taking a shit or something. But 2 liters of fluid flew out of my chest. And finally I could breathe. My oxygen finally went from 10% to 80% immediately. My color in my face came back. Excuse me. Sorry. I don't know what else to say. Like, after my chest tube got put back in, so that was my 3rd chest tube. And then they're wondering what happened, like what leaked into my lungs and what, like, so they take a sample of the stuff. And There's only 8% of chance of human beings in the world that get this. It's called a chyle leak, where your abdominal lymph node fats leak into your thoracic duct. That's what I had. Very rare, very life-threatening if left untreated, and disabling. So once they finally found out what it was, I got put on a no-fat diet. Literally no fat. I couldn't have anything. I was so skinny. I lost so much weight. Like, I became malnourished. But they're trying to figure out what's going on and doing everything they can to stop it. So me being on a no-fat diet isn't working. So the first time, they take me to an IR surgeon. I guess they're supposed to they'll put me to sleep, take like a little needle, and it's kind of like a little needle with a telescope or like a camera on the end to find where the leak is, and then they'll glue it back, staple it and glue it. The first time they couldn't find it. The second time they couldn't find it. If this last time they couldn't find it, I was going to have to go through open chest surgery, which they told me I had less than a 5% chance of surviving because of how anemic and how risky it was. So I prayed to God. I prayed and I prayed and I prayed my ass off. I had a chaplain that came to see me every day. She would sit with me for hours, every day. And I was everybody's favorite person in the hospital. I was the sad story, the she made it through story, all that. But for 3 hours, me and her prayed to God that God help these people find where I'm leaking from. And the very next morning, I went in at 7 a.m. I was so scared to go under that needle because I didn't know if I was going to wake up or if I was going to meet my unborn babies that day. But I woke up, and so I'm like, did they find it? And the answer was yes. Man. It's just so much. Like, I went through so much. Like, I don't think a lot of people understand how much I really went through. Like, I went through hell and back. I can only thank God for waking me up every day, and thank God for keeping me here. It's to learn a lesson, I think, or it's to learn to help others, or maybe it's to teach me to ask for help. But me personally, I don't know. I don't know what it's for. But also, one thing I did forget to mention is, like, right after my surgery, when the orthopedic surgeon sat down and made it clear that I'd never walk again. He told me, he said, I'm not supposed to tell you this because of my line of work, but God got a plan for you, baby girl. And I said, why? I'm like, how do you know? Like, he's like, the force it took for that truck to hit you and sever your spine, you should have been dead on impact. Dead on impact. How does that sound? That doesn't sound too pretty, does it? So, I'm lucky. I'm very lucky to be here. And from me to you, I suggest that you guys start enjoying life and taking it as a blessing and not as a curse.